This episode contains sensitive topics. Discretion is advised. Hello and welcome back to the Lusty Lounge. Grab a drink, take a seat, sit back and relax as you join us for our next discussion. I am Minka, and with me, as always, are Puce.
What's up?
And just an alt.
Hello.
Today, we are going to be talking about the fun topic of kink at Pride events. So there's been a lot of discourse about this in the past couple years, and it really started only a handful of years ago is when it started to become popular to discuss this, as there started to be a lot of social media with Twitter and TikToks and all sorts of things, people starting to talk about how they don't feel it's appropriate to have kink representation at Pride events, which, of course, tend to take place during the month of June because that is Pride Month.
For the gays, and the kind of gays, and the not really gays, and the kind of sort of not really gays.
Exactly. So I have a lot of opinions about this and have done a little bit of research on some of the different viewpoints and stuff, but I would like to hear both of your opinions on it first, because I don't want to go through and
Oh, fuck.
I know. I don't want to go through and discuss all of the counterpoints and everything that I've discovered before you guys have a chance to kind of talk about your opinions. And we're all friends here, so even if we disagree on a few things, obviously it's going to stay
Civil.
Civil's a good word.
Yeah.
It's going to stay civil.
Me using my college vocabulary.
You went to
Little
college?
do we all know this is the episode we end on.
Damn, it's been a wild ride.
Well,
all right, Puce, let's rub together our singular brain cell to figure out something to talk about.
Hey, I have somewhat of an opinion on this.
Shit.
I'll go first then. In my opinion, I feel like kink at Pride is acceptable under certain circumstances. I feel like it's got to be separated enough that kids and people underage don't get all up in that kind of stuff, because I feel like that's a bit much for younger people. But aside from that, I feel like kink's fine at Pride. Just shouldn't have it that out in the open.
okay. Alt, do you have something you'd like to share with the class?
So, I've got two people I know that went to the Pride Parade Festival? What's it called?
Depends on where you are,
Yes.
but usually it's a Pride festival, and usually there's a Pride parade at the Pride festival.
So y'all know D, he was there. He sent me pictures because I was help, and I was I examined the pictures. I went, okay, this does not help me. My other friend also went. She also sent me pictures, and I was like, this does not help me. So to my knowledge, there was no kink at Pride that was readily available, noticeable. So to me, I'm like, well, it maybe was there. I don't know. I didn't go. I was at Sandusky doing alcohols.
Okay. Do you feel like? Do you have any opinions on people being dressed up in leathers and furry outfits and rubber suits and nipple pasties and stuff, being out in public at a Pride event?
Pasties don't care. The titties are great. Fursuits, I would not super recommend because it's fucking hot in June, especially this year. So I don't want people to die of heat stroke. Leather, don't really care. The rubber suits, maybe tuck them away in the back, but sure. Do they also sweat? I don't know.
Yes, leather is very hot.
Then no, put them in an indoor thing with air conditioning so they don't die. Yeah, put the furries there too so they don't die. We need the furries.
So
they got a lot of money to spend.
Yeah, well, and lots of them for that kind of stuff will get the cooling vests and different stuff that they can put underneath to help keep cool, because it definitely can get hot and you can get heat exhaustion easily at something like that, even just if you're in the parade, which is sometimes only a couple hours in the sun. But so what I'm getting from you is that like you're more worried about the heat exhaustion, but like as for actually what's being presented, you're cool with all of it.
Sure, just keep it indoors because it do be hot. If like little Timmy and Julie happen to stumble upon it, they can learn the bare basics so they have an understanding of what they're seeing, but they don't need explicit detail, and that only goes up to a certain point. So like maybe little Jing wants to see why people wants to see people get tied up but doesn't know why they get tied up, and you go, well, I'll show you how, but I won't tell you anything else because you're too young for that. Little, what did I say, Jane, Juliet, what the fuck did I say?
Jimmy, I think.
Sure, little Timmy. Yep, sure. little Timmy.
Okay.
Also, parents should maybe be there if they're cool with that. I don't know. I don't fucking know. I don't know how to raise kids because they're stupid.
That kind of falls into the like, you know, like, oh, M-rated games shouldn't be available for kids, and it's like, well, they're not. Either they're getting them through friends by, you know, pushing those laws, or the parents are buying for them because they're not paying attention to ratings and all of the things they have there to help them parent.
Listen, as a former GameStop employee, I can 100% say fucking adults are stupid too.
Also as a former GameStop employee, I can fully agree with that. And the amount of times that a parent would be like, I want to buy this game for my 6-year-old, and I would be like, hey, just so you know, all of these things are in it, and they would look at me and be like, do I look like I care? It's like, okay, whatever. That's on you.
Man, that's wild. People would be like, what? I'm like, yeah, this game has a titty in it. It's super pixelated, but there's titties in it. And they're like, son, how old are you? 9. Well, it's time you learned. I'm like, damn, wish I had parents like you. And I was like, wait, I don't want to play this game. I don't want this.
My GameStop was on an Air Force base, so I did have...
What? Oh, shit.
Yeah.
That's a sting operation waiting to happen.
So I did have actually a fair amount of parents that would come up and be like, once we pointed it out, they'd be like, oh, yeah, no, I'm not getting this. So I made, you know, enemies of probably quite a few kids, but...
Man, fuck them kids.
Right? I'm like, nope, doing my job.
Yeah, that's how you keep your job so you don't get fucking fired.
Yep.
Or have a sting operation put on you. Because we've had that happen at my store, and I was just like, man, that was wild.
You guys lead some interesting lives.
To work at GameStop.
Yeah.
Just work at GameStop for 6 months, you'll see it happen. It's wild.
Yeah, it's pretty crazy. I've had a lot of different jobs in my life, to be honest. So I've seen a lot of things. Unfortunately, a lot of them were retail, so I've seen a lot of things from
I'm so sorry.
The public.
General public's fucking stupid.
Yep.
Not you, listener. You're smart. The general public. You are the basic public.
Wait.
Man, this feels like.
What, the general public
just saying shit and just like, man, am I fucking stupid?
Yeah, that sums up my life.
This isn't a fun feeling.
Welcome to living my life.
Fuck that.
My mouth just spews out a bunch of garbage, and then I'm like, that was all garbage. I shouldn't have said any of it.
Shit's not fun.
Yeah, now you know.
I specifically sit down and write down all my thoughts before I say anything, you know, and then like bounce them off other people, and then, you know, like about 2 days later I'll come back and I'll say whatever I was thinking.
Oh, that's boring. See, you gotta like just word vomit everything, so then people just think you're insane.
Are you kidding? I have ADHD.
Have
I have ADHD. Of course I word vomit.
See, I have the problem where I'll talk to somebody who's non-typical, like non-binary people or trans people, and by the end of the conversation, I feel like I've made them think I'm a white supremacist.
You weren't bald, though.
I've been bald.
If we've learned anything over the past couple years, not all white supremacists are bald.
Truth.
He isn't an underage child who found 4chan.
Yeah, he's not an incel.
I do have a wife, so
I was gonna say, hey, he does have a wife, so it can't be an incel.
Yeah.
Fuck you.
You're not one of the 31 white men that were just arrested up in Idaho who were white supremacists that were getting ready to try to raid their pride event.
Oh, I saw a post about that. I thought it was funny.
Thought it was fake.
Nope, it was real.
It looks too staged.
It was real. Six of those 31 are from my home state to fucking do it.
You know how much gas is $5 a gallon? You know how much gas they wasted? Fucking stupid ass people.
That's some commitment.
I don't listen. I'm willing to commit to a bit. Once the bit is costing me hundreds of dollars, fuck that. It's not worth it.
I hate a group so much I'm willing to fill my gas tank 3 times and spend hundreds of dollars.
Well, they just got finished with a president that they still feel is the president because they feel the election was stolen, who told them that these things were the right thing to do.
We're jumping right into the politics. I love it.
Oh, don't worry.
Oh,
This whole thing
do
is
not do
politics.
here.
Yeah, no, this whole thing is
do
politics.
Not do politics here.
It's too late. We've started.
You just wait until I start to get more into this pride and kink stuff. It's all about politics.
Listen, I watch anime. I get my politics from anime. I don't need any more politics.
Hey, anime can be pretty political depending on what you're watching.
That's fine, and that's where my limit is, the politics and anime. And I'm like, all right, I'm done, no more.
But these politics are important because they do tend to affect a lot of the people in our communities, because we are seen as the not normals, and so a lot of times, like, people who are kinky, people who are LGBT, people who are into anime and hentai and stuff are seen as the abnormalities that need to be fixed.
Bro, if we are paying taxes, leave me the fuck alone.
Right?
That's where the line should end. Oh, you're giving us your money? Oh, sure, do whatever you want, don't care. As long as you keep giving Uncle Sam his money, it's fine. Ugh.
It really should be as simple as, like, let everyone live their own lives, and as long as they aren't causing harm to anyone else, or obviously certain lines of, like, breaking consent or doing certain things that, like, cross those lines, then it's just like, let people live their lives. Whatever consenting adults do is their business.
But Minka, my book that's a few thousand years old, written by most likely corrupt individuals, says that these things are bad.
Well, so Jesus didn't even say anything about that. Other people said it for him, and he's like, I didn't say that.
Right? Like, nobody who wrote in the Bible actually ever met Jesus.
Yeah, all of it was written
after he was
many
dead.
years later.
Wait, what?
Yeah, really awkward. Really awkward.
It's the fucking white people.
Plus, it's been translated a million times by a bunch of different people.
I still
those people were probably equally corrupt. And
I still like to think that, like, Jesus/God is a woman, and that the Bible is just a bunch of men, like, mansplaining what they think she was trying to say.
See, I feel like God is non-binary, if anything. Like, he probably flip-flops and chooses whatever he, they, she want to be.
Wait. If we're going to be, like, super technical, they would have to be everything all at once, because all-encompassing.
Yeah, so non-binary.
It just
Omni-binary. Omni-gender? There we go. That's what God is.
You're hurting your head. I can hear the gears, like, spinning and, like, the smoke coming out. Stop. You're going to hurt yourself.
Hey, it's getting warm in here. The gears are already
Now the gears are not helping.
Yeah, that's why I just don't believe in a God, because there's no logic to back it up.
See?
It's called faith.
Well, yeah, that's quite literally it.
Blind following.
But for me, God has an ant farm that is the universe, and he just watches it and watches the ants do chaotic things.
Is that why he put child cancer in the ant farm?
Yes.
That's a really good analogy, though.
See, people think I'm crazy when I say it, but then they think about it and they're like, oh my God, that's actually a pretty good view.
See, I feel like the polytheistic religions make more sense, because it's like those gods were all assholes, and, like, so many different gods controlled so many different aspects that it was just like, yeah, that would make sense why, like, shit is fucked up half the time, and, like, why all these bad things are here, because it's just like If you're going to tell me there's one omnipotent, loving God who just allows child cancer, allows the R word, allows all that different stuff, it's like, that's not a God who gives a shit.
To be fair, in the Bible it says there are other gods. You just can't worship them.
Well, the Mormons...
That is true. I forgot about that.
The Mormons believe there is a heavenly mother.
See,
But-
they are so progressive.
Yeah, but they don't talk about her.
Stop right now.
They don't talk about her because she has been kept secret so that she doesn't have to face the discrimination that God does. And she is the most sacred because women are meant to be protected and kept safe.
Yes.
We're going all political in this one.
We went off the rails really quick.
Yeehaw, boys. Okay. So back to the topic at hand. Let's do a little trivia. Do either of you know why pride parades are a thing?
No.
If I remember correctly, back when is it Stonewall? Was that the big event that
Yep.
went crazy? So there was Stonewall, and then within a year or so, there like groups of LGBT individuals got together and threw illegal celebrations about being prideful for being LGBT. And then it just kind of picked up from there.
Do you know what Stonewall was?
A wall made of stone, duh.
Oh,
Okay, now you're stretching my remembering brain. If I remember correctly, I got nothing.
I hate you. I hate you so much.
It's like right there. I can see it.
so
But
I'm not
It's vague.
I'm not a historian by any means. So even I might have some information that's slightly incorrect or off or whatever. But Stonewall was actually a protest against the police brutality and the police violence that was happening against POC people and LGBT people at the time.
Oh.
So
okay.
so Stonewall
That's why
itself,
I remember POC.
yeah, Stonewall itself
Yeah.
was a riot, and
The picture of the black trans lady is coming to my mind. It's like, oh yeah, I remember that.
yep, she was one of the main ones that was there. There's stories back and forth on whether like she was the one that started it or not, but like she was there near the beginning, whether she was the one who threw the first brick or not. Like,
Oh,
Alright,
so it was
question.
full on riot.
yes, it was the Stonewall riots.
I still have a question.
Marsha P. Johnson. Sorry, I forgot her name for a minute, but Marsha P. Johnson, trans woman of color. She is known as one of the like most influential people of that time.
What do all the letters past Q mean?
It's kind of an evolving thing, and there's debate and discussion over what they mean because it's like you have LGBTQIA plus. Sometimes you like have other people that are like LGBTQIAAQ2S.
All
like
right, stop.
yeah.
You're doing too much. You're doing too much, homie.
So there's a lot of things. So basically, it was kind of like, how do we add all of these different identities into this term that we use? Because LGBTQ, well, LGBT is, lesbian, gay, bisexual, trans, and then the
Yeah,
Q,
I know that.
the Q is queer, and then I was, it was often used for intersex. A was used for asexual. Sometimes A was ally. Sometimes Q was questioning. Like it was kind of like how do we do this all? And they added 2S to it at one point, and that was to represent the Two-Spirit Native Americans because they are their own identity, and like some will say it falls under the trans umbrella, but like it was around really like it evolved on its own outside of that, and has more to do with their culture and everything. So like a white person saying, "Oh, I'm Two-Spirit," like that's straight up cultural appropriation.
But that's why people stay.
I know.
Also, I see why Organization 4024 was like, here's a plus because that's too much shit and we're dumb.
Yeah, so it's one of those things where it's like, do we just keep adding letters? Because they'll call us the alphabet mafia is what we like sometimes called, and like it's a term that's been Right. Well, and like it's a term that's been like, taken and like some people use it as their term. So it's not like a derogatory thing, but
The alphabet mafia. Oh my god.
Yeah, because
I'm
there was
sorry.
like a bazillion letters that people wanted to use.
I understand, but fuck. Shit.
but
funny.
yeah, like so there's a lot of discussion and there will be an evolution at some point, but like some people are like we should just all be queer. We should just use the queer term because we've reclaimed it and like we all fall under queer, but then you have people who are like, well, I don't actually identify as queer. And so it's hard because like everybody is identifying themselves and coming out and like figuring out who they are. And we have all these labels because humans love to put things in boxes to help their minds understand.
Just gonna say that.
Yeah, but like at the end of the day, like no two people are really the same. So it's kind of it's an evolving thing, and whether we come to a new term or create a brand new term at some point or like whatever happens, no one knows yet. There's a lot of discussion and there's still a lot of differences in mentality between the older generations of LGBT people who like really were closeted because a lot of this progress has happened in the past couple decades. So there's kind of certain ideologies they have versus like, Gen Z is the most queer generation to exist yet. And so there's all sorts of different opinions and it's hard, because it's trying to come up with one label that supposedly identifies everyone. And it's like, it may never happen. Who knows?
So I've got a question that real quick.
Yeah.
Which might throw us on a whole nother tangent.
Let's go.
What are your guys' opinions on gender abolition?
The fuck is that?
Getting rid of like gendered terms, like getting rid of like identifying as man and woman. From what I understand.
I definitely feel like the idea of the gender binary needs to change because there are people like me who do tend to still feel connection to the gender binary. And I know there are a lot of people that don't, but like I don't think abolishing it is the correct path myself, because then you're just getting rid of ways for people to identify themselves. But I do think that like an awareness and understanding and acceptance of there is more than just male and female is something that should happen.
Yeah, it's more of a scale than it is a binary itself.
And not even so much a scale, but like there's a lot of things lately that people started out using scales and like now it's more of just like it's kind of a pie chart and like
it's a graph.
Yeah, like a graph. Because like, somebody who's non-binary isn't going to really be anywhere on that scale. But I don't feel like just gender abolition, I don't think will be the answer for
that's where I fall.
For like humanity at large.
Definitely agree. I feel like people need to be more accepting of like everything while still accepting that some people want to identify as he and she and stuff.
Right? Like I think it would be cool if like, birth certificates were like either didn't say anything about genitalia or, were just like, born with a penis, born with a vagina, born with both, born with neither. Because all of those things happen. But that's still putting a big emphasis on genitalia. And like, I don't think we really need to do that in society.
That's where I get very confused. Because at that point, I'm like, it's not identifying their gender. It's identifying their sex, which can be relevant later on during medical procedures and stuff.
Right, but there are people who are born with both. There are people who are born with neither. So like, it already is not a fully working system. Like it works for most people, but not for everyone.
I have a question.
Yep.
If they have neither, how do they pee?
Sometimes there has to be surgeries done at birth, but sometimes they'll have a urethra opening somewhere. Sometimes, and like by neither, sometimes it's like there can be, during the body forming process, like things may not have formed fully. So like someone could have basically a vagina and vulva, but like it's almost entirely closed up, and so like there's all sorts of stuff.
So you don't necessarily mean no genitalia at all. You just
Yeah, like they're
not fully formed genitalia.
Yeah, they're not born as Barbie dolls.
Listen, I have fully realized I'm get to take the I get to be Puce this episode and just go, yep.
No,
Indeed.
I appreciate the question, because like there's going to be a lot of shit I'm spouting, and like I may not fully clarify it, because sometimes I do that. I'll just talk and talk and talk, and like I'll say some things, and then somebody will be like, "Did you mean this?" And I'll be like, "Oh shit, not like that." So it's always ask the questions.
Well, that was more me spending too much time with my cousin and going, I'm listening, I'm understanding, I have a question. And then me stop listening to make sure my question sounds correct and going, okay, I'm going to wait for the noise to stop and then ask my question.
Yeah,
that's fair.
I'm also very, very tired. The gym sucks at 95 degrees.
Oh, I bet.
Yes.
I bet. Okay, so Stonewall was a riot. Like, pure and simple, it was a riot against the police to protest police brutality and police violence. So, the next year, they held a parade in basically, like, honor's not the right word, but, like...
In memory of it?
Kind of, yeah.
Of the event or the person?
The event.
I was gonna say.
So, like, I'm brain farting on the correct term, but, like, it was to commemorate it. As basically like, hey, no, we're done. We're done with your shit. We're done putting up with this. We're fighting back. And so, like, they started to have the parade after that year in commemoration of that and to remember it. And so that's what the Pride parades were initially. So it was very political, and very much to say, like, hey, we're here and we're going to continue to fight for our rights, and to show that, like, we are humans and we are worth having basic human rights.
Man, what's that like?
You have it worse than even I do, for sure.
I was gonna say, I feel all on my own in this one. I was just...
Yeah, you boring, straight, white.
Yeah, because I
said it backwards.
I was like re-looking up some of the statistics about police brutality last night and police violence. Trans women are 7 times more likely to experience police violence than white cis people. POC trans women are like another 6 times on top of that more likely to experience police violence. So it's like, even though I have a higher risk of experiencing violence from police or just other people in my life, like, my risk is still nothing compared to people of color who are also trans. And, and that's something that I try to remind myself of, that I still have some of that privilege and entitlement that comes with being white, because our world and our country is so fucked up. Like, just an alt, you probably, I don't know the exact statistics, but I would imagine you have a higher chance than I do, just being a person of color, than I do of being a trans woman, of experiencing police violence.
I was going to say, I think it goes trans, POC, trans POC.
I believe you're correct.
If I remember degrees of police violence.
Why do you just know that?
I watch too much political YouTube.
So,
I wanted to say something, but it would derail so hard, and we're working on an episode about that, so I'm going to be quiet.
Okay. That is where the Pride Parade started, and that is what eventually led to Pride Month. Fast forward to the current day, Pride has lost a lot of that political value because it has been capitalized so much by corporations.
I'd say it lost the original meaning less than the political value.
No, it's.
I can see that.
I would say
Kinda.
both.
Oh, well.
Because like nowadays a lot of people do see it as just, oh hey, this is a celebration, and not like a, hey, we're still fighting for our rights, because like that stuff is still out there, but like that's not what is seen as much. And the
I would like to interject.
okay.
Feel like that is so like how it is with black people in February. We're gonna fight the 11 months, 12 months out of the year. This 1 month, we're gonna relax. I feel like that's what it's become, because I haven't heard of many LGBT
Alphabet Mafia.
Alphabet Mafia stories. But next month they're gonna be everywhere, and I'm like, I have to anticipate this in my news feed, and then I have to do the same thing next month.
Well, that's what I'm
the month
saying though,
after
is
that.
like, there are a lot of people out there who are fighting year round. And then, yeah, it becomes like June, and all of a sudden, instead of it still being about that fight, it's all about celebration.
Rainbows.
Yeah, and rainbow capitalism. And, go to the Pride Festival and get your really cute shirts and your really cute wristbands and your really cute buttons.
Hey man, them things are expensive.
And
Shit
mind you,
pisses me off.
like I'm not completely shit talking the merchandise, because I do understand that, like, especially if you don't have a big support group or you don't have many friends that are LGBT, if you are, then like it can be reassuring to be able to find some of those things and to be like, okay, like I do feel like I'm being seen. And
It's more like being able they're selling to you, so
Yes.
you're being identified.
right. And so it's like it's not entirely bad, but unfortunately it still is. Those corporations are like, oh hey, this is another holiday where we can make a bunch of money by coming out with a pride line.
Yeah.
And
Hey, you get enough people thinking that way, and at least they'll somewhat accept you because they
right.
want your money.
And that is the other side of the coin. Is it's just like, we would much rather have all these companies that are coming out and being like, hey, we sell pride stuff, because then they're saying like, hey, we're okay with you, even if it's just because we want your money. That's much better than companies who are like, oh, I'm not going to bake your cake because you're gay.
Jesus would have baked the cake.
He would have, and he would have flipped those fucking tables in that shop.
That's definitely a good
story's
argument.
still so fucking stupid to me. I'm sorry. That was a recent, not recent event. It happened this year. I think a year or two ago. Because on Facebook I posted, Jesus would have baked the cake. I'm like, oh yeah, that thing happened. That was stupid.
Yep. And it's still happening.
money,
It's still
like-
happening.
I will admit,
Listen-
when that cake thing happened, I was kind of going down the right pipeline for a minute there. That was my.
The fuck does that mean?
It means I was starting to like. I was never anti-gay and transphobic and all that stuff, but like,
I was.
if you go down a certain like path, they call it the alt-right pipeline, because eventually you turn into a fascist and stuff.
Yeah, because you start to look up more information on that side, and there's enough people over there spouting out bullshit that you start to have your biases and your opinions seconded, and then all of a sudden you're like, oh, well, if this person agrees with me on this thing, what else are they talking about? And then you start to believe the things they're saying, and you go down that path, and all of a sudden you're believing a bunch of shit that's not true, but you believe is true because you agreed with this one thing with this person.
You
It's
start to become Alex Jones to try to
Franz
make
Gay?
it relevant. Yeah, you start to
Him?
think that stuff. So,
Okay, but like, as someone who understands a modicum of business, I bake the gay people's cake. They tell their friends we baked the cake. The cake came out very well. The other gays come to me to bake their cake. I make more money. Why would you not want to make more money? You're a business.
Because it goes
because
against
Bible say gay bad.
yeah, because it goes against
Okay.
my personal incorruptible morals, and gay people are against God, and so I would never do anything against God. It's putting the faith, the blind belief before anything else.
Angry because apparently we aren't supposed to be eating shellfish, and I'm like, but sea bugs taste amazing.
And you're not supposed to wear any sort of clothing that is like man-made.
That's where the Bible's right.
Yeah.
Seafood's
So yeah,
gross.
your cotton your cotton poly blend shirts. Nah, take that off, dumb bitch.
The Bible's right about the seafood. It's gross.
You shut your goddamn whore mouth. I know where you live. I can't come to your house. I know where you work. I can show up to your job.
So, back to the capitalism of it all. Like, the Pride Parade itself was supposed to be this political thing of, like we're fighting for our rights, and now it's a celebration, which would be great if the fight was over, but it's so far from over.
If y'all had won.
Right? And but you do unfortunately have those people where it's like you have these specifically like cis white gay guys who are like, oh, we got our rights, we're done, we don't care anymore, and it's just like, do you not understand that like people from all over the alphabet soup were there from the beginning, and like
Alphabet Mafia. Alphabet Soup is something different.
I like alphabet soup more. We're gonna make that a
it's
thing.
for something different, specifically for something different.
But it's just like, like these people have been supporting you the whole time to get your rights, and now you have a lot of them, and like you're just gonna back out. Like, fuck you. It's like, I get that fighting is hard and it's tiring and it's exhausting, and like I want to give up on it all the time, but like it's not just about me. It's like I still need to do what I can for myself and for everyone else. So like a lot of times you get a lot of pushback from specifically this older generation, kind of like I said, there's the different ideologies where like there's lesbian TERFs, and there's gay guys that are just like, no, trans people aren't a real thing. And it's just like, you guys are fighting people within your own group. Like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I know that happens with any group. I understand that. But it's just like, we all have to stick together to be able to do this and to be able to make progress and keep making progress. Because like, if they successfully get these attacks and make these laws against trans people, like, they're going to jump back to gay people. Like, they're going to try to push back everything that has happened. So it's like, we're all still in this fight together. And that leads into kink at Pride. Kink and the LGBT community are very closely related. The history of both intertwines a lot, and both were treated fairly similarly throughout history, where it's just like, again, kind of back to what I was saying earlier, like, you're not normal of what we consider normal, so you need to be kept put away, hidden, or actually like put down. And so that's why a lot of the kink and the LGBT has gone together. So now, with the capitalism and the rainbow capitalism and the corporation overtake of Pride Month, it's all of a sudden become about respectability politics, where it's just like, oh, well, if you guys are going to sit there and, have your sex workers with just nipple covers and your putt players and all their leather gear and people in gimp suits, you're just hurting your cause, because people are going to see that and be like, that's not okay. That's gross. Like, why would we support that? And that's just trying to create rifts inside the groups and get us to fight amongst ourselves, which the government absolutely loves when the people fight amongst themselves, because then they're not paying attention to what the fuck the government's doing. So that's why there's a lot of pushback from people who are like, no, kink absolutely has a place here, because this is supposed to be political. This is supposed to be us still fighting for our rights. This is us still supposed to be going together in this fight, because we are all being pushed down together because we're not normal. And then you have these people that are buying this whole like, oh, well, you're just hurting your own cause. And it's just like, no, we need to keep pushing that until it becomes the new normal, where it's just like, You know, like how many European countries do you see statues that have the dicks out, that have nipples, that have vaginas? Because, you know, it's not, body parts haven't become so sexualized in those countries as they have in America. And mind you, women have always been sexualized throughout history, and that's a fact. But like, just seeing someone with their tits out and just covering their nipples, like, does not have to be like a, oh my God, my kid can't see that. It's like, it's the human body. It should be okay. You should teach your kid what the human body is at some point, because they're going to need to know for themselves and later on in life, for when they start dating or doing whatever. So that's why I'm very much on the side of like, no, kink should still be there, because it is just trying to, I do feel like it is just trying to separate the groups and just play the whole respectability politics of, oh, well, you're not going to get your message across if you have all these super sexual things out there.
So I feel like this is where you and I disagree, at least in part. Because I get the whole kink and pride thing, but I feel like, especially the more like out there stuff, like the leather play and dog play stuff, should be relegated to its own area of pride. Whereas like walking around with like pasties and like a bikini bottom or whatever, that's more acceptable because it's not sexualized, or it shouldn't be as sexualized as it is. But the leather play and the dog play stuff is almost exclusively sexualized.
What about a cosplay
sense.
Convention?
What do you mean?
You can't say shit. You ain't got like a leg to stand on me. I just got back from fucking Classic. You don't have a leg here, Puce.
I know it's not much of a fight, because that's why I'm never gonna like push super hard. But I feel like we could go about the kink stuff in not like a hidden way, but more like an educational way, rather than like an out and just have it out for everybody to see kind of thing.
Do what we do at conventions. People over a certain age get a wristband, and they can go into the areas that designate where the wristband goes. You're over 18, you can go there. You're over 21, you can go there.
And maybe have an educational booth about different kinks and stuff.
And
I feel like
sure, but you just need a wristband to get in, though.
And I get what you're saying. I do.
I fixed it.
But again, it goes back to that pride and the pride parades have kind of lost their soul. And that it's now a, like, bring the family out to celebrate, instead of a, like, hey, no, this is to show that we're still here and we're not done fighting. And the whole respectability politics, like, you have to play by society's rules for anyone to take you seriously.
Part of it, though, is bringing the, like, cis straight family out to, like, see the people who they probably would never see in their community.
Right, and that's where it gets tricky, because that your mindset is what most of those people have, where they're like, I don't have anything against kink, but like people are bringing their kids to this, and you know, and like kids shouldn't necessarily be exposed to that. And I will admit that like in many of the parades in my state, like I have been out there in leather. Like I was in some pony gear one of the years I was in the parade. Another year I was out there with a sign that said, chicks with dicks need rights too. And, you know, and I got some people that were like super excited about it. And I'm sure there were some people that probably saw it and were like, if my kid could read, I'd be really upset. But
I'm sorry.
You know, that that King of the Hill thing. If these kids could read.
Yeah, the meme that's what popped in my head.
Yeah.
If my kid could read.
But yeah, so that's the tricky spot, is it's just like, you know, do we have to just now accept that this is what it is, that it is just a month of celebration of queer people, which in and of itself is not a bad thing. Like that's not a bad thing to celebrate queer people. But, you know, like it is not what it originally was. So that's I think that's kind of where it all comes down to is do we accept that it's changed and make these changes to make it more societally acceptable, or do we keep fighting and saying, hey, no, all of this is normal and even the sexual stuff is normal? Because a lot of the gay people that were originally in the riot and like have come from them, that older generation, they're very much of that bathhouse culture where it's just like, you know, like, I'm going to go to a party. Oh, you're gay? I'm gay? Cool, let's fuck. Oh, next guy, you're gay? I'm gay? Let's fuck. Like, the bathhouse culture is very much a, like, loose consent thing. And, like, it doesn't really fly nowadays with our new understandings of consent. But at the same time, like, it was a thing that was there. It is a part of the history, and that doesn't mean it was right. Because, you know, like, obviously not everything that's happened in history is right. But, like, even LGBT stuff is very tied to a lot of sexuality. And, you know, and that's not necessarily true for today, where more people than ever are out about who they are and are queer, because, you know, like, you have ace people who are either not sexual at all or are only little bits sexual. So it's like, I'm not an expert on this. I fully admit that, and I can only share my opinions and like the little bit of research I've done to try and read up on it, and I don't have the answers either, you know, and that's why I think it was important to have this discussion, because like, it does give multiple perspectives. And, you know, like, I unfortunately I don't think the three of us are going to solve this, but
Just give everyone wristbands.
Well, that's why I wanted it. That's
solve
part of
that.
why I wanted this choice too, because like,
yeah,
this
it's
conversation
important.
should be had in every group, and obviously none of us are professionals, so don't take our word for anything we say. As
Right.
most of the YouTubers I watch say, go out and do your own research, actually, and like find out the information, because we're probably wrong about something.
I'm sure I'm wrong about things all the time, and like, one thing that I try very hard to do is to be open to new information. And, you know, like, if there's actual factual stuff there, then like, I try to be open to changing my mind. I don't want to be that closed-minded, nope, this is how I feel, this is how it is. It's like, no, if you can.
You don't want to be a boomer.
Yeah, I don't want to be a boomer. Please don't make me a boomer.
You're a millennial, don't worry, Mika.
I know, I'm a millennial through and through, which means I'm feisty and I'm opinionated.
And stupid. We're all stupid, that's for sure.
I
Speak for yourself.
yeah.
It's fair. I'm stupid.
Listen, we're sharing one brain cell this episode.
Well, I've had the brain cell more, so haha.
That's fine. We're still sharing it.
So, Minka, when it comes to kink, do you think, obviously they're not having sex out in the parades, so it's not like we're seeing like the full extent of some of these kinks. I guess I don't have an argument for most of it, but it feels like we should have maybe like educational booths at these events and like teach people what these things are, not just show them the kinks.
I agree. I wholeheartedly agree. And just before the pandemic, the Pride we had in 2019, we were actually, the kink community was actually going to get a section of the festival area for us to be able to do that, to be able to talk to people, to be able to have demonstrations of like how things actually work, and to have information. And it didn't end up panning out, because like the main contact who is in our community is
A bitch.
yes, he pretty much is.
I had like 4 words lined up. I was like, I can't say that, can't say that, can't say that. We'll go with bitch.
Like, he's a nice guy, but he's got,
He's a piece of work.
yes. And so like, it didn't end up panning out. And then this year we had our first Pride parade since the pandemic. And we've always had a spot in the parade they've always given us a spot for like basically our kink community at large, not just like one of the little sections of it, but like we would all come together and have like one spot in the parade. This year that didn't happen. I don't know the specifics of why. I don't know if the Pride Center, if our local Pride Center decided not to allow it, or if just nobody reached out and tried to get a spot, because I didn't hear anything one way or the other. So I don't know if ours was we're trying to, what was the other term? Basically like normalize Pride, or if it was just a
PG, or PG, make your parade PG.
Yeah, or if it was just nobody asked, I can't speak to one way or the other, but I know there wasn't the big kink group in the Pride Parade this year for the first year in quite a while that they've happened.
So do you have a line on where, like, kink should be, how, like, far kink should be expressed at Pride events?
I think the state laws are pretty good with what they are at, because you cannot simulate any sort of like impact play, which I think is good, because like, even if two consenting adults are sitting there, like one's using a flogger on the other, like that could be a bit confusing to a kid. It would be like, why is that man hitting that woman, or why is that woman beating the shit out of that man? Like that could be a little confusing. So I feel like that one's an okay standard. And then there's like obviously no intercourse or simulated intercourse. So like, if somebody's tied up, you can't like grab them and pretend to be fucking them, even if your clothes are on. And I'm like, that's okay. Like actual intercourse, it does not need to happen out in the open. Oh yeah. And that was one thing I keep thinking about is like, I think it was about 2 years, well, not 2 years ago, but like before the pandemic, one of the things that went around on social media in this argument, they were posting these pictures of like, oh, this is what the kink and leather people were doing at the Pride Parade. And what they were actually posting was pictures of people at an event in, I believe it's San Francisco, and I just forgot the name of the street. But they basically close off a whole street, and it's a huge like BDSM kink event where they do allow that kind of stuff. But people were trying to pass it off as like, oh, this was happening out in the open at Pride event. And it's like, no, that's false information. Like you're just trying to build up shit that's not there. And I think that's another part of it too, is social media. Like you can only get so much across in a TikTok. You can only get so much across in a Facebook post, in a tweet. And so a lot of these times when people are talking about these things, they do tend to, like happens on the internet, get defensive and start attacking each other, and no conversations actually happen. It's all, this is my opinion and I'm willing to die for it. Oh, well, this is my opinion and I'm willing to die for it. Like actual discourse. Yeah, actual discourse doesn't happen online. And so, I don't think that's been helping the conversation, is that a lot of it is happening through tweets and through posts and through TikToks, instead of actually people sitting down and talking with each other. And, and we do live in that day and age where everybody does have an opinion on everything and has the ability to share that opinion all the time. Like, I think about Bo Burnham's Inside. I don't know if you guys watched that.
I've been meaning to.
It's
I think you're the only
really
millennial
good.
Who hasn't watched that.
I know a few.
I didn't have Netflix for the longest time. And then he was like, oh, it's
somebody's
on
password.
YouTube now.
Yeah, like...
Well, one, that's not as easy as it used to be anymore, because, guess who got a envelope from Netflix saying, hey, stop. And we're like, oh shit.
Oh, wow. But, yeah, he has one part where he has a skit that, like, he's talking about how, like, everybody just seems to feel the need to share their opinion on everything that happens all of the time. And like, like a school shooting happens and all of a sudden everybody has their opinion about it and how it should have been handled and everything. Or this historical event happens and everybody has their opinion. And like, he's talking about it and he's like, does everybody have to share their opinion about everything all the time? Then he's like, actually, let me rephrase that. Can anybody just shut the fuck up for 5 minutes And, and that's the reality of the world we currently live in is people don't. People are so, like, passionate and also now trained to have these avenues of I can share every thought I have, that it's what happens. And so that, that's what's led to the toxicity of social media is just people aren't actually there to have conversations. They're there to put out their opinion and fight anybody who challenges it even slightly. And that happens on both sides. I fully am want to be transparent about that. That happens on both sides.
Very true. Sorry, brain fart. So there was a recent thing that I wanted to bring up that happened, and I wanted to get your guys' opinion on it.
Okay.
On Twitter, there became a big scuffle where there were pictures posted of kids at a drag show.
Oh, I haven't fully looked into this, but I am interested to hear more about it.
From the gist of what I understand happened, this was like one of the events at a Pride event, and it was held in an ice cream bar, if I understand correctly, and it was a drag show that was promoted as drag your kids to this drag show or something like that. It was essentially a play on words for drag queens and kids.
Okay.
And a lot of people were very up in arms about having kids at a drag show.
So the first thing I will say of what I have seen about this is basically all the memes that people are using. They're taking the quotes of these people who our kids shouldn't be around these adult grown men who are dressing as women and doing all of this stuff, and they're posting pictures of the Catholic Church and all these religions, and it's just yeah, no, you're not fully understanding that you are basically saying they shouldn't be around, any of these religious people either. And, somebody even went to the point of saying, at least around drag queens versus, any member of the clergy, I don't have to worry that my child is going to get, R word. And it's just damn.
You got any opinion on kids at drag shows?
Define kid. What age are we talking?
From the pictures, it looked like they were between probably 8 and 9 at the youngest, possibly up to possibly 12.
Kids don't know what the fuck's going on. They're just seeing people in costumes. They're like, woo, yeah, excitement. Doesn't fucking matter. Minka, I know what you're talking about because my friend they shared a similar post, and I was like, wait, time out. Isn't that just the plot to Tokyo Godfathers? I trust my kids with a drag queen, a hobo, and whatever the fuck the third person is over the fucking local priest.
Yeah. Yeah. And it's the sad truth. But so that's what I had seen about it. And as for my actual opinion, I feel a lot of the outrage is coming from the more conservative people and, probably the loud minority conservative people. And I feel this is just kind of my gut reaction at this point since I haven't looked too much into it. But I do feel it stems from toxic masculinity, from that idea that seeing gay people or doing quote unquote gay things or boys playing with Barbies and girls playing with toy trucks is going to make them gay. And in reality, it's just no, these kids are having fun. This is not going to define their sexuality. An 8-year-old boy who goes up and dresses as a woman, he's not trans. It's not going to make him trans. It is. It's just, it's costume. It's play. It's not going to make them gay. Drag queens who dress up as women, there's a lot of them that are still nope, I'm a guy, and
I'm a cis straight white guy who just happens wearing wigs.
Yeah, it's not going to change their sexuality. It's not going to change their gender identity. It's just freaking out about something that like kids wouldn't even think twice about. They would be like, yeah, that was fun. I got to dress up and, and do something fun. That's all it is.
I don't think it's wrong, because as one of the YouTubers I watched put it, it's not a burlesque show. It's just people being over the top and exaggerated dancing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's not like, oh my god, my kid is seeing somebody strip on stage, because that's not what a drag show is.
Right.
But it's definitely something that you either need to have a talk with your kid about to let them understand what this is, and it's more akin to a pop star dancing on stage. Like, it's
American, not K or
American
J-pop.
pop stars dancing on stage. It might be sexualized slightly, but only as far as it's just to draw attention.
The other memes I saw were basically like showing people freaking out, or talking about people freaking out about this, and then showing all of the like toddlers in tiaras girls.
I will say that stuff is creepy.
Yeah,
because they are straight up sexualizing
child
those
pageants.
girls.
That's really creepy.
Yeah, it really
like,
is.
If you don't have a problem with that, but you have a problem with drag shows,
because
you gotta question yourself.
That all ties into the American obsession with women and infantilizing them.
What? In what? Doing what now?
I don't know if I said that right, but like basically, like kind of
objectifying women from a young age.
Yeah.
Uncomfy.
So if I don't see anything wrong with it, but at the same time, I'm not comfortable with it. I wouldn't have my kids at a drag show.
And that's a decision, you get to make. And like
Puce is gonna have kids
at some point, like they may come out and be like, no, I really want to go to this drag show, and then like you have to have a conversation. But I feel like that, like anything else, like you said, should be a conversation. I think people need to stop treating kids as like complete idiots and be like, hey, let's have conversations about things. Like, let's talk about what you're feeling and like how you see these things, because I think that's the important thing that's going to lead to better adults, is treating kids like they're humans as well.
Because I definitely, when it comes to kink and stuff and drag shows and all the pride stuff, I feel like it's okay to teach your kids like about gender and like sexuality, probably kindergarten through like third grade, and be like, this is gay is when a man loves a man and all that stuff. But I feel like the actual sex talks should be held off a little bit.
I don't.
We shouldn't be like, this is how the kids are really made, and the banana goes in the donut, and blah blah blah.
Stop. Please stop.
Like, I don't know that there is any like specific right age to talk about it, but like, I would think as a parent, mind you, I'm not a parent, so a lot of people will say my opinion doesn't matter. But like, I would think as a parent, you would kind of watch your kid, because it's like, whatever age your kid starts to discover their body, you're going to want to have a conversation then, and like, you don't have to have a full conversation about like intercourse at that point, but like, you need to be paying attention to your kids to know when to talk to them about things. Like, I think that's a big thing, is pay attention to your kids, invest in their lives, because, like at some point they're going to be living without you, and, how fucked up they are has a lot to do with how you treated them growing up.
Completely fair. It's definitely, I feel like this is a conversation people need to have more often, especially like you said, not online, because 150 characters can only get you so far.
280.
Yeah, it's 140 times 2.
Okay, still.
And that's just Twitter. I don't think Facebook has a limit.
I don't think it does.
Yeah, either. But who's going to read like 6 paragraphs of nonsense?
White people. Okay, this is what I do. I will hit the read more, and if I have to scroll from the bottom of my phone to the top, I'm just like, nah, fuck
If it's more than one paragraph, I'm done. I'll say that.
That's because we have ADHD, and I was
going to say,
we just can't pay attention that long.
But I definitely feel like this stuff in general should be talked about more. Because, like, at least from what I've seen on the internet, most trans individuals and people from all over the Alphabet Mafia usually know at a pretty young age.
Mm-hmm.
Like, they may not have that definition, which is where I feel like adults should step in. They should give the kids these definitions so they can figure out what label they want.
I came out of the womb and out of my mama's vagina, and I was like, I'm supposed to have one of those.
You know, I feel like you probably didn't, but we'll let that be part of Minka
any
lore.
Closing final remarks. Okay, uncomfortable.
We'll let that be part
I love
of
making
Minka's
people
lore from now on.
uncomfortable.
See, that you got to try so much harder for me. That's not even.
I know, but we
tip of the
have
iceberg.
Alt here, and it's super easy with him.
Well, yeah, that's why I
Trying
call
to
him
keep
Vanilla.
things moderately professional so we can actually monetize this thing. But
Hey,
why do that when you can make a shitty joke?
hey,
Yeah.
you're an
Much
editor. You can cut things out.
Quit making out. Listen, I'm gonna lower the limit so anything over like a minute 45, Puce has to give me $10.
What? It was 2 hours.
Well, it might get lowered. We'll see.
We can't do that.
Yeah,
We need to
can.
give the people what they want.
Well, if they want it, they can go to Patreon.
Yeah, but I don't want to pay Alt $10.
Then don't make shitty jokes or encourage shitty jokes.
Yeah, Minka, shut up.
Oh, yeah.
Nigga,
Listen
you
to
do
the-
it more
listen
than
to the
she
patriarchy.
does.
Let's see. Alt, do you know much about the issues in black culture with LGBTQIA stuff?
No, all of my black friends are either painfully straight, super gay, but like in the group chat, or they don't talk to me because
They're
I don't talk to
homosexual.
them.
Okay. Because I don't feel right talking about any of that, and I don't feel like I know enough talking about any of that. But I do know there are issues there as well that, like, the black community is dealing with in and of itself when it comes to LGBTQIA stuff. But, like, yeah.
Yeah, as far as like black people in the gayness, I can't help you.
That's okay. I just was curious if you knew, because, like, yeah, I don't feel like I have the right to talk about it, and I also don't honestly even have enough information to talk on it either.
Minka,
Same.
we need to bring out that secret, like, ray gun that all the conservatives think the trans people have, and shoot Alt with it, and make him part of the Alphabet Mafia.
We'll just use the Jewish space lasers.
No, that makes him Jewish.
Are you
I mean,
sure?
that'll get him into another minority, but you're right.
Maybe we work together on them.
The Jewish Trans Alliance. I knew it was a thing.
But back to your earlier point, I do fully agree that more conversations need to happen. And I feel like more people need to take that self-introspective and look at their opinions and look at the way they think and look at their ideas and be like, am I actually willing to accept information and change my opinion based on information? Because if the answer is no, like, you're closed-minded. Whatever side you're on, if your answer is no, you're being closed-minded. And that's not going to help progress in any way. So the more conversations that happen are going to lead to the more normalization of these things, because more people are going to realize, oh, hey, this isn't actually that crazy as, like, the media and the press have made it out to be. And, like, BDSM is not even always super sexual. Like, you know, oh, I've seen the movies. I saw 50 Shades of Grey. I know what BDSM is. And it's like, no, you know one tiny aspect of a BDSM fantasy is all you know. So,
You know bad writing.
yeah, it literally was a Twilight fanfic is what it was. Like, straight up 100% is what it was.
Could you imagine writing something so bad people pay you for it? That's crazy.
It happens a
Now
lot.
I'm angry.
It happens a lot.
You know, every time somebody brings that up, sorry, every time somebody brings up 50 Shades of Grey, I'm reminded of the like through line that 9/11 has to creating 50 Shades of Grey.
I'm gonna stop you right the fuck there.
There was a point in my life that I hated gay people and everything because I was a teenager who had grown up in the Mormon church and was blindly following because of my faith. And so I had a lot of stupid ideals, and then all of a sudden, turns out the homophobic one was gay and trans. Just like usually happens with the extremely homophobic people. They usually come out later. But,
or it's revealed in some sort of leak that they're super into that stuff, and you're just like, haha, we knew it.
Well, no one should be, like, forced to come out, but, like, there are those instances where it's like you are literally writing laws to hurt people that are just like you. Like, so that's that gray area of, like, yeah, fuck you. But I say that because, like, I do want it to be clear that, like, I fully understand that people can come from a more closed-minded state and learn and grow and change. And a lot of times that comes from just having conversations or finding out that people you love and care about fall into those categories. And then all of a sudden it's not just, trans people aren't just the crazy monsters that they talk about on Fox News. Like, all of a sudden you're like, oh shit, like, my cousin is trans and she's a real person. Like, holy fuck. They're not crazy.
Wait, you mean there aren't roving bands of trans people making other people trans?
No, I didn't say that. But that's a secret. And so now I'm going to have to kill you and anyone who listens to this.
Yep, we're all dead. It's nice knowing you, Alt.
I do want to reiterate that, like, the rainbow capitalism, while it is kind of a shitty thing,
Sorry.
and Alt is slowly dying, but the rainbow capitalism, again, I want to reiterate for any of those that, like, do see this stuff and they're like, get so excited that they can, like, go to Target and buy, a lesbian mug or a trans shirt or, like, all this other stuff. Like, you don't need to feel bad for that, because it is great that stuff is out there and representation does matter. And, like, obviously there are the things underneath all of it that need to be addressed, but, like, it's okay to be excited to see those things and to see your favorite companies come out. Like Xbox came out this month. They've changed their logo and they came out with a special controller that
those fucking pastel controllers look so nice.
Yeah, like, they came out with a controller and, like, honestly, it does look really good, and it has, like,
bullshit,
all the flags on it and stuff, and I'm just like,
didn't get nothing for black people. Bullshit.
They have the Xbox black controller for you guys.
Oh god.
You mean the standard controller?
Yeah, it's all about black pride.
Stab you in the fucking neck.
Hey, you said I couldn't slit his throat.
And stabbing him in the he has a chance of living if I stab him in the neck. I didn't say with what.
Oh god, I knew you were gonna go there. God damn it. But yeah, like, it's and I do think actually you bringing that up is a good point as well. Like, this podcast episode has been about pride and kink, and so it's been focused on that. But queer people are not the only minority in this world, and they're not the only ones that are still fighting for rights. So it's important to remember year round and not just during these months where it's like, oh yeah, we remember black people exist in February. We remember queer people exist in June. Oh shit, what month is Asian Pacific month?
Damn.
I didn't know that was a thing.
December. It's not December.
It's May, actually. It's May.
Damn, I was so close.
What is
I
May?
wasn't close.
Asian American
I said that.
Asian American and Pacific Islander Heritage Month is in May.
I didn't have a clue that existed.
See, and
Do
that
you not own a calendar?
Yes, I just don't look at it.
but like the fact that you didn't even know it was a thing shows that there's still a lot of work to be done.
The fuck is wrong with you? I knew that.
Oh, I do have something else. So, one of the other things that gets brought up a lot about the kink at Pride stuff that has kind of tied into this is that there are states that are starting to ban cops in uniform from being able to go to Pride rallies, Pride parades, and that kind of stuff. And again, that kind of goes back to the, like, is this becoming just a celebration of queer people, or is there still that political aspect? Because the whole thing started as a fight against police brutality and police violence. And so to have police people there in uniform, like, is still a very triggering thing for a lot of people because, like I said, as a trans woman, I'm 7 times more likely to experience police violence in a police interaction than a white cis person. And
I'm not gonna lie, I feel like that might be a bit much of a reaction, at least as far as the laws are concerned.
All right, Whitey.
like,
Well, I just mean it on if something happens there.
well, I think that's why they're not
call the
saying
police
like
anyways.
you can't. I think that's why they're not like outright saying police can't be there, but it's like the whole basically representing by being in uniform. Because obviously, like those 31 guys that were arrested up in Idaho, like that would not have happened without police, you know? So it's like, while the police system itself is entirely broken and has systemic problems, like, you know, people don't want to fully abolish the police. They just want it to be defunded
Put their
and
money
restructured.
somewhere else.
Right. Like if someone who has, you know, like autism that can't verbally communicate very well is all of a sudden having a tantrum and they can't get a hold of themselves and somebody else doesn't understand it and thinks they're being assaulted, like the police show up, they're probably going to kill that autistic person who never would have like actually hurt the person. And it's just like, no, we want that money to go into different systems where we have healthcare professionals that actually come out and like who are trained to deal with this stuff, deal with it, not just a bunch of people that are going to beat their wives and husbands and just want power. Which,
all right, I think this needs to be another topic for another episode, because that's another thing I have a lot of words about. But I feel like
You can do that somewhere else. We are here to be horny.
yeah, but it's also a taboo subject, and that's what we cover: taboo subjects.
We cover horny.
ACAB,
Only
baby.
horny.
Does that include off? Okay, my friend made a tweet that said ACAB includes Officer Jenny, and I'm like, but I would fuck Officer Jenny though.
I
But
did
she's a
see
police
that.
officer.
I did see that, and I'm like, I don't know, because they're forensics.
I don't know how to feel.
I'm like, I don't know how far it goes for me, because it's like forensics are the people that are like the ones who like puzzles and stuff. I'm like, are they also power hungry? Are there statistics that 40% of them are domestic abusers? I don't know. I do think that we probably should avoid heavy topics for a while, because we are meant to be a fun and like kinky taboo podcast, and you know, and this one was heavy. It was definitely heavy, and like it does have to do with sex and taboo stuff, and you know, directly with a lot of our communities. But like it's also not going to be like a. I don't think this is going to be the one that's going to have people coming back and being like, oh, I want more. Like, I think it's important, but it's not the...
Turns out it's going to be my most listened to episode, and just like, all right, don't know how that works, but okay.
Right? Like, it's absolutely important stuff that needs to be talked about. But, you know, like, we didn't talk about, you know, like, and how she's, you know, the winner of the internet right now. She took over for...
Oh, you fucking with Spy Family? Oh, okay, damn, this is a talk for another time.
and how she took over
lost now.
on... oh, fuck, I forgot her name. Not Maureen.
Marin.
Marin, yeah. And how
Well, no,
Yor
no,
took
no, no,
over.
no, 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 no. Marin is waifu of winter, not winter, spring. Yor is waifu of summer. There's distinction.
I mean, I love them both. Like, they...
I need to watch My Dress Up Darling or just buy the books, but I can't find the books.
Yeah, they both have a place in my heart.
I have honestly no idea what you guys are talking about now.
Watch anime, you fucking degenerate.
No, I will never.
Yes.
Never.
Dart and you are banned from the podcast. We are now looking for a new third host.
All right. Any closing arguments for this stuff? Now that we're back on topic.
No.
I just... Like, my final thoughts are, I do feel like kink belongs at Pride, but I do agree that there also should be spaces for people to be educated and to learn more about it. And I think parents should have more conversations with their kids.
Completely agree. People need to be more educated on the things that they don't understand.
And the human body should not be just seen as completely sexual, because we all got them, they all suck, and we should be able to talk about them.
Awesome. I like that we all agree at least somewhat.
All right, well, thank you so much for once again joining us in the lounge. Hope you enjoyed your time here. And as always, if you want more, you can find us on Twitter at lusty_lounge or on Facebook or Patreon under the name Lusty Lounge. And we have our Discord server, which you can come be a part of and join us for all our horny escapades and honestly a great community. So it's been fun. Thank you for sticking with us through this heavier topic. And I promise we'll get back to more fun things next week. I hope. Please.
Talking about Dojin, so
God.
yeah.
Okay,
it's gonna be
perfect.
great.
Perfect. Thanks for joining us. Have a wonderful day.
Bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.